and welcome back to Fit with T. So I hope you guys are well. Today I'm going to talk to you about the purpose of a training diary and why athletes should use one. Now if you guys know me, then you just know that I'm an advocate for journals, for diaries. I literally have a journal, a diary for everything. I have a dream diary, I have a training diary, I have a diary for my business. So I literally really do make use of diaries and journals, and so I really want to encourage you, if you're an athlete or if you're a coach who has athletes, and if you have younger athletes, it's a really good discipline to get your athletes to get into, because it really does help as you grow as an athlete. So for me personally, now as a self-coach athlete, actually having training diaries from when I was 14, 15 and over all the years really helps me to see the journey in more detail than you can see from just looking at your results per se, like seeing the things that you have done over the years. So there's a Danish philosopher named Søren Kierkegaard. I know I'm literally butchering his name. He said, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forward." And that's such a true quote. Like we live life forward, but we understand it backwards. And so, having a journal, having a diary that you use, and as an athlete, a journal or diary that you use for your training, it's really going to help you to understand your journey, understand your training, understand you as an athlete better. If you do need a training diary, I really want to encourage you guys to get my Track Life. If you're a track and field athlete, and even if you are from other sports, it can benefit you too, but my Track Life athlete training diary for athletes, I made it specifically for athletes, and knowing that this is something that we really need. You want to learn to be an independent athlete. As much as you have a team, as much as you might have coaches and therapists to help you along the journey, you ultimately want to learn to be an independent and responsible athlete, an athlete that understands their own body, an athlete that understands their own emotions, their own thought process, and how you tick. And so having a training diary is really going to help you to do that. So I'm going to give you guys 6 tips on how you can actually use your training diary, okay? So the first way you can use it is to write down key dates and settings. So if you have, I'm going to use track and field because that's my sport. And so let's say you've got the track and field season coming up. You can use your training diary to put in key dates, okay? What dates are you looking forward to? Which dates are clear dates that you are signposting along your journey, whether it's indoors or whether it's outdoors, and put these dates in your diary as a reminder. Every time you open your training journal, those dates are going to be there, whether it's the champ, like your national champ, whether it's world or European that you're working towards, whether it's English schools if you're a younger athlete, for example, in the UK, then you can write down these dates, so it gives you a clear signpost and gives you a clear goals that you are working towards, so you can see them every time you open your journal. You can also use your journal, this is still my first point, guys, to write down key settings that you have. So whether that's your block settings, whether that's your run-up settings, so any key settings that you have, you can use your journal in this way. Okay, so the second way that you can use your journal is to actually record your monthly goals. So specifically in the Track Life athlete training diary, I've actually put that into this journal. So every month what you'll see is a space to write down your monthly goals. So I say athletics, but sport in general, we all know that it's not just about performance, okay? So there's a lot of key factors of your life that contribute to your performance, and so writing down goals that you have in a broader sense of your life. So in this journal I have lifestyle, technical, tactical, family or social, physical fitness and health, mental, emotional, spiritual, and work and education. So each month you can write down those goals, and then you can actually review the goals at the end of the month. Maybe your goal was to wake up at a certain time, but maybe because you're staying up too late on social media, it's not allowing you to go to bed on time, so it means it's affecting your training. So basically setting goals is really going to help you to aid your training and ultimately performance, which is what we're trying to achieve as athletes. We're always trying to improve ourselves, better ourselves as much as we can. So setting monthly goals and reviewing your monthly goals in your training diary is going to be a key factor that's going to contribute to your performance as an athlete, your development as an athlete. So the third way that you can use your training diary is just basically your general height, weight, biometrics sort of thing. So just using it to log down your weight. It just even helps you to track. So by writing down your your weight, whether it's weekly, whether it's monthly, just helps you to see, is there a pattern here? When I'm in winter training, what's my general weight? And so if I'm seeing that, okay, I'm way overweight or way underweight, okay, what do I need to change something in my nutrition, for example? As a female, being able to see when I'm on my monthly cycle, is there an effect here, and does this actually contribute to my performance? So having a training diary again helps you as an athlete to take responsibility, to see these kind of things and not just rely solely on your coach. So the fourth way that you can use your training diary is to actually write down what you did. This will probably be the first way that you think you would use a training diary, to write down what you actually did in training. As I said before, you don't know what life is going to throw at you, so your circumstances might change. You may have to end up training alone, you may have to change coach, and having you know, there are good crossovers where your old coach is able to speak to a new coach and to help them to see what you've done, etc, etc. But having a record means you don't just have to rely on your memory, but you can actually see accurately exactly what you did. Okay, so seeing what you did, you're going to be able to link it to, as I said, to things such as if you're always getting injured, for example, if you're always, you know, at a certain point in the season you'll start to get certain niggles. So if you have a log, again, you can understand backwards, you can start to see, is there a pattern here? The fifth way that you can use a training diary is to actually say not just what you did, but how did you feel. So how did you feel when you did what you did? So that is from how did you feel emotionally, how did you feel mentally, how did your body feel physically? Was there any pain during this whole session? Was there any pain in those movements? You know, when you was in flight, for example, in your running, did you get the feeling that you were looking for? When you was taking off of the board, did you get the feeling that you was looking for? You know, what were the cues that you used? You know, writing these things down helps you to go back, and then you can reassess and then continue to replicate. If it was good, replicate. If it was not so good, okay, what could I change? Okay, having a record helps us to understand backwards. Okay, so the sixth point and last point I'm going to give for this video, that a way that you can use your training diary is to actually just write down your key circuits that you do. So if you have a set, for example, warm-up routine, writing this down. If you have a set prehabs that you do, if you're, you know, if you're on a rehab program, writing these down. If you have a certain routine that you do, mobility routine that you do, writing these exercises down, key circuits that you do, conditioning circuits that you always do on certain days, writing these down so you don't have to necessarily write them out every session. If there's something that you do regularly, write these out in the notes. So for example, in the Track Life training diary, as well as having your weekly training diary where you can write out, you know, your weekly session. If there's something that you do on a regular basis, then you can use the note section to write those specific things down. So if you always do, for example, a post-race gym or a pre-meet session, then write those down in your notes so that you don't have to write them every time, so that you can just write in your weekly training diary, you know, for example, prehab, for example, warm-up 1. If you have more than one warm-up or 2 different warm-ups depending on whether you're gymming or whether you're running, for just an example, then you can write those repetitive things at the back or in the notes section of your journal, and then you can come revisit them and come back to them again. And like I said, in a different year, in the next year, you can see this really worked, this didn't work, and you can understand backward. So I really hope this video has been helpful for you guys. I really do encourage you, if you're an athlete and you haven't kept a training diary up to now, yes, of course you can keep your journal on your phone, you can always keep a digital journal, obviously, but I'm really an advocate for writing with your hand. You know, there's studies that show that just by writing, we just create certain neural pathways that you just don't create when you type. And so I'm always going to advocate for having a handheld diary that you can actually write down. Take the time to write, take the time to process, you know, emotionally, mentally, etc. So I really hope this is helpful for you guys. Let me know in the comment section below, do you guys keep a training diary? If you don't, why not? And if you do, let me know how you use it. And if you like this video, guys, give it a big thumbs up to help me accelerate my channel. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe now and make sure to hit the bell. And I'll see you guys next Friday.